Welcome back to Pcff. 2011, year 12. We got Nolans and we got Seattle. Nolans will receive to open the kickoff. Percy Harvin, always dangerous. Steve Gostkowski kicking off for Seattle. Here's the kick. It looks like Harvin will probably take a knee. No, he's coming out. Gets around the corner. Watch out. Look out. There goes Harvin. Oh, my goodness. Can you believe it? Whoa! He's gone! Percy Harvin, are you kidding me? What a kickoff to 2011!
That's the voice of Gus Johnson calling the action on the Lifetime Network over the weekend. Nolans getting the opening kickoff taken to the house by Percy Harvin. They move on and beat the Select in Week 1. Nolans putting up the most points in the PCFF Week 1. I'm Clip Brock. Welcome in to the PCFF podcast. We've got a big show for you today as we get you ready for Week 2 of the PCFF. Coming up a little later on, I know you'll enjoy this, we have Running with Emmett for the first time here on the PCFF podcast. Looking forward to that. But first, we're going to talk to one of our favorite guests from the podcast, and that is Ron Jaworski. You know him as Jaws. He had a little mishap Monday night calling a game when talking about Chad Henne on Monday Night Football. We're going to talk to Jaws about that and a whole lot more, and he joins us right now on the PCFF Live Line. Jaws, welcome back.
Hey, I appreciate it, Cliff. I tell you what, after that last interview, I wouldn't have been surprised if we wouldn't be able to talk again, at least not on the radio.
Well, Ron, you said some very surprising things. I was kind of surprised at some of the language you used, but maybe I shouldn't be surprised. You had a little mishap on Monday Night Football. We're going to play that clip real quick, Ron. I want to get your take on it.
Oh, my goodness.
Hang on. Here we go, Jaws. Here's what happened Monday night.
Well, that's one that Chad would love to have back. He knew we had the one-on-one matchup going down the right sideline. You have to get rid of this ball just a split second quicker.
Ron, unfortunately, you used that word, and we had to bleep it out because we don't like to say shit here on the PCFF podcast. What happened? Why did you use that word on national TV?
Well, I'll tell you what, Clip. I think it all goes back to that early September, late August, whenever that interview was, before the season started, where I was cursing like a sailor on this podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know. The emotions of Week 1 got the best of me. You know I'm very emotional.
Ron, you did apologize after that. Did you really feel bad? Do you feel like that you really did anything wrong?
I mean, you know me, Cliff. I don't give a shit what I say on there. I mean, sure, the kiddies, they should have been up that late anyway. Back when I was a young schoolboy growing up, I couldn't stay up past 8:30. If someone said shit on the air, they said shit, and I was sound asleep. Ron Jaworski, ESPN.
Ron Jaworski, not afraid to use that language. Well, Ron, besides that, you called a great game. You and Gruden and Tirico had a great call. Miami, New England. Before we talk about what happened in the game, how about the nightlife in Miami? What did you guys do after the game?
I tell you what, if Miami won that game, we would have had a major, major big time. Reggie Bush, Brandon Marshall. I mean, think about it. We could have been, I don't even want to get into it. I'm already in enough hot water.
Ron, let's talk about the quarterback play in the PCFF Week 1. You saw it firsthand with Tom Brady, Drew Brees, and Aaron Rodgers lit it up big numbers. I mean, it is clearly a quarterback league, isn't it?
Oh, you're itching where I like to itch right here, Cliff, talking about the quarterbacks. I mean, you can't beat what we saw Week 1, and hopefully it's just a preview of what's to come the rest of this season. Tom Brady in Nolan putting up over 500 yards in Week 1. I mean, he's on pace right now I can't even do the math. And then Aaron Rodgers, big pickup from the Crush in the offseason. They did lose, but damn if he didn't look great. Drew Brees, also a losing quarterback, but he looks in midseason form as well. And you can't go without mentioning Seattle's Michael Vick, also on the losing end, but the guy rushed for 100 yards. I don't think Carolina Crush did that as a team.
Ron Jaworski joining us here on the PCFF podcast. Ron, looking down at the standings, Nolans, Vegas, Tennessee, D.C., Miami, 1-0 heading into Week 2. Talk about those teams a little bit. DC and Vegas seem to always be the teams kind of in the middle, trying to fight for respect, fight for a playoff spot. You got Tennessee, Miami, the old guard, and boy, Nolans looks scary with their offense, don't they?
I tell you what, Cliff, Nolans is the real deal. If you don't believe it, you will soon. Like I said, Tom Brady, 500-plus yards. You think New York's kicking themselves? They picked Phillip Rivers over Tom Brady? Well, maybe in the long run it was the right pick, but not so far. Then you got Tennessee and Miami. Both teams are loaded, but they had subpar week one for their level of play. I would expect both of them to bounce back. That Nolans-Tennessee game, that should be a lot of fun.
That's a big week two matchup, Ron. Who do you give the advantage to as we sit?
It's a toss-up. If you look at the Yahoo Sports matchups, it's less than it's .11. I mean, that's a 1-yard run by Ray Rice or Frank Gore. So I expect it to be very tight. If I had to pick right now, I guess I'd go Nolans.
DC matching up with Vegas, another tight game. If you look at those the Yahoo projections, Jaws, what do you think about that one?
Well, I'll tell you what, Vegas and DC, both pretty evenly matched teams, just like the game we just discussed. Vegas needs to get a little more of that running game. I think they got big performances week one from Steve Smith and Kenny Britt, obviously, but that's not going to happen every week. They need more from CJ 2K. And as far as DC is concerned, there's rumors. There's a quarterback controversy going over there, and you know I love quarterback controversy. And we'll see. I think Matt Schaub gets the ball this weekend, but if he doesn't perform, Rex Grossen's right there for the taking.
Looking at the standings, Jaws, huge game this week. Carolina Crush, Seattle Select. I was one of the people that thought the Select had a pretty good roster coming into this year. In fact, I picked them week one. Maybe that was a dumb pick on my part, Jaws. But and then you got Carolina Crush, who's had so much history, tradition in the PCFF. Really a big game here, week two, isn't it?
It is. It is. Another great matchup here. I think this one's going down to the wire as well. Seattle, they played well. They just went up against the well-oiled machine week one in Nolans. And I think they're going to take this one this week. Carolina, that story tradition, there's a reason why it's called history. It's been in the past. That was when they had running backs like Clinton Portis and LaDainian Tomlinson and Brian Westbrook. They just don't have that anymore. And I think Seattle takes this one. I think the Crusher in a hole, 0-2.
Ron, real quick, just to let people know, everybody know who you are. What is your name and who do you work for?
This is Ron Jaworski of ESPN.
Okay, Ron Jaworski, ESPN.
I was told by my second ex-wife that I said that a little too much the first time, so I tried to cut back. But yes, this is Ron Jaworski, ESPN.
Ron, a couple more things to touch on. You got to feel bad for the Cleveland K-9. They had their man at quarterback coming into the year. Took a shot with Mikael LaShore in the draft that certainly didn't pan out. Tough times for the K-9 right now.
Yes, you really do have to feel. I mean, Cleveland was coming back with one of the better returning rosters that they've had in their franchise history. And for a guy like Peyton Manning, you know how much I love the P-Man. And LaShore, I mean, that was just that was tough to watch in the Cleveland War Room. That was tough to watch. But look, they got some talent. They didn't play that bad week one. They were right there with DC to the end. I expect good things to continue with Colt McCoy or Cobb, whichever one. I mean, Colt McCoy, I've told you before, he's like a little Brett Favre out there.
Yeah.
But I expect Cleveland to stay in it, and you never know. They could be 1-1 at this time next week.
In case people are just tuning in right now and missed the last 7 seconds, who does Colt McCoy kind of remind you of?
He's like a little Brett Favre out there. I'm telling you, just watch the guy. You put a number 4 in a green jersey on him, he's Green Bay Packer quarterback, Brett Favre. That's
Ron Jaworski. I tell you what, Jaws, with your insight, you can say shit all the times you want, and you're still my number one guy.
I appreciate it, Cliff. Hey, look, I got invited to Mike and Mike this week. I was supposed to be on Rome, but I said, you know what? Until I talk to my boy in the PCFF, Cliff Brock,
wow.
I'm not doing anything. This is Ron Jaworski of ESPN.
That is awesome, Jaws. Thank you so much for joining us again, and we'll chat with you down the line. Have a great call this weekend.
All right, thank you, Cliff. And you enjoy your weekend. It's football weather out there finally. Let's go play some football. Let's go ahead and get the lights on and get them banging helmets right now. Thanks, Cliff.
And one more time, tell us tell us who you are one more time and what your affiliation is.
This is Ron Jaworski of ESPN.
So there you have it. There's the story from Ron Jaworski, ESPN, joining us here on the PCFF podcast. Coming up in our next segment, we are running with Emmett. Can't wait. That's coming up in part 2 of the PCFF podcast.